So we've got our data. We've done some interesting calculations that hopefully make sense. And we've got some kind of a new column of data. And we want to create a nice surface. Instead of having point data, we would actually like to make some estimates about what are the values in these blank spots. And just for visualization purposes, what I'm going to do is, instead of just showing everything as purple, I'm going to go to properties here and symbology, and I would like to change, we'll change it, we'll do graduated colors. The value I'm going to choose is my test guy. It's this new one that I created, and I'm going to change my color ramp to do something like this, and I want to have 10 classes, and I'm going to apply, and I'm going to say OK. Excellent. So here we got this data, right? So if it's blue, my meaningless calculation ended up with a big number, and if it's yellow, my calculation ended up with a low number, right? But I want to turn this into some kind of a surface. I don't, just these points. I want to make some estimates about, what's happening here in this blank space. And this process is called interpolation. And luckily, there's all sorts of tools that ArcMap has to take point data and using various mathematical algorithms to turn that into some kind of a surface where the values vary in some kind of estimated way across space. And so I'm going to show you how to use this particular tool, or one interpolation tool. So a good thing to do is just type in using the help. And this button I just clicked, this is the search guy, so you can search things in here. And I'm just going to type in interpolate, enter, and it's going to give me a bunch of things about interpolation and summaries and so on. So if I click on this guy, it'll say here's all these different ways we can interpolate point data. I would like you guys to use this one called IDW, which stands for inverse distance weighting, and it's this tool. Okay, to use, I'm going to close this guy real quick. To use this tool, you need to have your geostatistical analyst activated, and basically it just means if you want to use the tool, you got to tell ArcMap you are able to use the tool, and to do that you have to go up here again, totally non-intuitive. You go to customize, extensions, and this guy needs to be checked. So if this isn't checked, please check geostatistical analyst and then say close. If it's not checked, you'll get an error when you try to use the tool. This is the tool we want to use again, IDW, which stands for inverse distance weighing, and you can read about how this thing works, and it'll tell you about the math a little bit. This is not how IDW works. This is great. It'll if you're into it, I would encourage you to read it. I'm happy to talk to you about it. The guts of this is not the purpose of today's lab. I want to show you how the actual tool works. So you got to tell it, okay, what's the input feature you're interested in working with? For mine, it's going to be my K-good, right? This is my sort of vetted rainfall stations on Kauai. This is super important, the z-value field. This is the column of data that you want to have as the input to the tool. If you just leave it the default, it'll choose this first one, which is this meaningless SKN, which you don't want. I'm going to use my test, right? So this is my test guy. I'm going to, okay, so then the output, and every time you click through, it'll tell you what this particular is. So all we want is the raster. All we want is the surface. So this is required only if there's no output geostatistical. So this is what we want. We just want this guy, and we're going to choose where we want to put it. So again, put it in some place that you've got good control over. So I'm going to put it in here, and this, and this, and then this. And then I'm just going to call this K interp. I'll call it K interp 1. And I'm going to hit save. And there we go. It took it. And I'm just going to leave all the rest of the guys just default. I'm not going to touch anything else. And then I'm going to say OK. Because, well, I'm just going to say OK, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it's thinking, right? This guy's sort of rocking around, and it's thinking. And, oh, look at this. Whoa! Right? it has just made this interpolation, an interpolated surface, and the size of it is bounded by the extent of the most northerly guy, the most southerly guy, this guy, and this guy. Beautiful, okay? The the purpose is not to sort of think about how good this interpolation is. It's just to create the interpolation. We could have a whole class and a whole semester talking about how to interpolate data and different choices we make. I just want you to interpolate something. And perfect. If you get this far, you're almost there.